I think we are live. Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Jeannette, also known as Misfit Vegan, and I'm here today with a very special guest, and his name is Sean. Hi, Sean.
Hello, everybody.
Um, and I'm excited to tell you about how I know Sean. So, all right, let me get into this. So, if you guys are joining, let me know where you're joining from, and I'll look at the comments soon. And if you do have any questions for Sean, once we get started, put them in the chat. Put a watermelon emoji so I know it's a question. All right. So I met Sean because as you probably know, if you're following me, I've been raw vegan for 15 years. I'm really serious about my health and I take it very seriously. So I don't ever have any health issues except every few years I get some type of like pain and I take it very seriously. So I got a pain in my chest. It was really bad for like a month. Finally, I went to urgent care because I take my health very seriously. So I went to urgent care to get like an x-ray, like what the hell's going on? Went to urgent care, x-ray, nothing. They can't find anything. They recommend I go to a chiropractor. Okay, I go to a chiropractor. He can't find anything wrong. There's nothing wrong. He takes all my vital signs. I get everything checked. There's nothing wrong. So then I don't know what to do. I go to acupuncture and this and that. And then our mutual friend Darren connected me with Sean, and he gifted me a session with Sean. And it was amazing. And we're going to get into what Sean does. And a week later, my pain is gone. So I actually saw four different healers because I don't know, people just like they I have angels taking care of me.
Mm.
So I had the first interview with Michael Lozier. He is this person I did the first session with. Then I had a session with another healer and then Sean and then someone else. So I'm going to interview all four of my healers recently that helped me with this horrible, horrible chest pain. It felt like somebody was sitting on my chest. I couldn't breathe. It was just 24/7. So now he's gone. And Sean is one of the reasons. So thank you, Sean, first of all. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, before we get started on how you came to do what you do, can you just please explain to my fruity cuties, that's what I call my people, fruity
Mhm.
cuties. Can you explain to them what exactly do you do?
I can try. Um, so everything that the work that I do is based on the concept that everything is energy. This physical reality that we believe to be so real, really is energy, that's vibrating at a frequency that's very dense. And, our minds, I think, create the sort of perception that this is the true reality, and then anything else is really just not real. When we get into energy, it's all the same, and there's no such thing as distance, nor is there such thing as space in the sense of where we have to physically travel, because everything is connected through this field of energy. So that's the first part of it. The second part is that in my observations, there is if everything is energy, then it vibrates at different frequencies. And there is a frequency of energy, a vibration that is, I refer to it as the light. I believe that what people refer to as God is this frequency of energy. It is an energy that when it is so pure and powerful and divinely intelligent that when it comes in contact with any other energy, it transforms it. And it allows that energy that's vibrating at a lower frequency to vibrate at a higher frequency. And so through those two phenomenon, which I can get into a little bit more in a bit when we do talk about my story, I have found that I guess, if you want to say maybe, or is gifted with the ability to channel that energy frequency and direct it to other people. and allow that energy to clear, um, stuck energy, negative energy, and replace it, or really transform it into energy that's vibrating at a higher frequency, more harmonious with, our divine nature. And that's the basic explanation.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like Reiki, I guess you would call it, correct?
Reiki, absolutely. I think Reiki is essentially the same concepts, maybe different
Yeah.
techniques.
Yes. And you do it remote, you can do it remotely.
Mhm.
And can you, yeah, can you tell people, well, how long have you been doing this?
So, about 25 years ago, I got into meditation. Just kind of, I guess I was going to use the word randomly. It wasn't random, but I was really trying to find a way out of what was going on up here. My head was just spinning. I was in my early 20s and spinning with stuff from adolescence and childhood and so forth. And found meditation and immediately found a relief. I was like, oh my goodness, my brain's quieting down. And so I just got myself into it a little bit. Um, and not long after I started to meditate, I started to have some experiences that at the time were completely unexplainable. It started with was with a woman that I'm now married to. Uh, at the time, and she would always fall asleep before me, and I would be laying there at night, and my hand on her thigh, and I would be in this meditative space. And one time, all of a sudden, I felt this rush come through me. This is the best way I can explain it. And simultaneously, her whole body twitched in her sleep. And at first, of course, I was just like, whatever, people's bodies twitch when they sleep, and it had nothing to do with that feeling I just had in my body. Um, but then it kept happening over and over again, several times, turned into 15 times, turned into 20 times. And all of a sudden, and I wasn't really a believer in any real things beyond what I learned in my science class at that point, and I was just kind of like, but something was like, wow, my brain was like, wait a minute, this is beyond a coincidence at this point. Like, I can't dismiss this. And that set me on a journey essentially to say, okay, well, what am I doing in here? What's going on? The moments preceding this feeling that happens, this rush and this switch of your body. And that set me on a path to try to figure out, what were the conditions inside that created that. And then can I become, a proactive partner in that? Can I become a co-creator in that space? Um, and that's how it all started. That's the beginning of the story.
Yeah. And so can you, that's amazing. And then can you describe how a session goes? Because I mean, I've had Reiki done before, but it wasn't like this. This was new. I never experienced this before. Can you explain, is it the same for everyone? Do you have like a formula that helps? How does sessions work with you?
Sure, yeah. They are all very similar. It seems to go up through a pattern. When I go into session, I essentially go into sort of like a trance-like state. And my job essentially is to get out of the way. This field of energy doesn't come through our brain. It's not something that our mind can even really conceive. It's so much more vast and infinite and powerful than our brains can even really perceive. There is sort of like a little, almost like mini, maybe like an ego death that I have to go through to channel. So it's this, kind of trance-like state. And I feel like I'm a narrator and an observer in that process, and also just, I'm there trying just enough to sort of direct direct things based on what messages that I've heard prior to the message to the start, which would be, somebody coming to me and saying, hey, these are the things that I'm looking to get rid of or move on to. So typically, what happens is this field of energy works through the aura, through the field, and through the chakras of the body, which are the main energy centers of the body. And typically there's two rounds. One is the first round is basically like almost like a orientation of sorts, where this field, this light is going through and entering and connecting in with the chakras and sort of scanning, and just where it's kind of getting to know what's going on, and also the person's field that is being worked on is also sort of acclimating to the idea that our fields are actually merging. And so it's sort of like a introductory round, if you will. And then once we're done with that, we come back through the second time. And that's when uh, my best understanding of it is this light comes through and clears, basically acknowledges and finds the energy that needs to be let go of, releases it, and replaces it essentially with light and energy that is organized and harmonious, versus disorganized and chaotic. And it is through that simple process of switching that energy in the field that creates, some of the releases and changes that occur with the people I work with. And that is essentially the crux, what each session is like. There's essentially two rounds, and then it ends with just a channeling essentially to the whole body, to the field, and also to the surroundings that people are in, into their rooms, into the space they're in, to help clear and harmonize the energy in their dwelling. A lot of people do come to me for disturbances and stuff in their houses, but in general, I we like to just bring that field out from the body at the end, and do really everything that you touch. And that's essentially the summary of how it goes.
Yeah. And what have you helped people with? Like, who would benefit from working with you? What are some things that you've helped people with over the years?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. It ranges. I see a lot of success with emotional trauma, releasing of emotional trauma, and maybe it doesn't have to necessarily be so intense that it has to be put into the trauma category, but just, we all have stories that we accumulate over life, and those stories hold energy. And normally, and we mostly hold on to the energy of the stories that hurt us in some way, shape, or form, or that we suffer through. And those experiences don't exist anymore. They're in the past, but we still hang on to them energetically. So, a big part of the work that I do with people is just helping them release that energy, and hopefully help reframe that situation or experience in their minds, to help release it, because perspective is so huge. So that's a big category of people that I work with a lot. A lot of people come to me working with entities and spiritual disturbances and paranormal. So I do help a lot of people with clearing either homes or their spaces with energy of some sort that they feel is paranormal nature. um, and I would say those are the two main categories, and the third would be just helping healers or people in positions of just to activate and clear people in their path if they're looking to move forward. The other very interesting thing about this, of divine energy, is that if we combine that energy with an intention, it has the ability to create shifts in people. And one of the things that I really enjoy a lot is when people come to me and say, hey, look, like these are, I felt stuck in all these ways, and I'm really looking to move past this and do this and open these doors. And I think the work has the potential to create this shift in people. Some people might call it a shamanic shift, to just start activating parts of themselves that need to be activated for them to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. So I would say that was the third category of ways that I've seen this help people.
Wow, wow. Okay, so someone asked how they can book a session. So I put the link in the chat, thehopelight.com, right? And I'll pin that, I pin that in the chat and I'll put that below in the description as well. And so can you please talk about specifically, I'd just love to know, and probably my followers would like to know, like what happened with me or what so if somebody has like a pain, they're really healthy. Everybody here in my community, we're super healthy. You know, we eat really healthy, vegan, lots of raw food, working out every day, really healthy, taking our care of ourselves physically. But then I developed this pain and it happens every few years. Not just here, you know, my back or my here, or my leg or whatever, right? It's just
Mm.
constantly coming back. And so, what are your thoughts on that? Somebody who is eating very healthy and is a very healthy person, and they go to the doctor, and the doctors can't figure out what's wrong. What are your thoughts on what could have been happening with me, and like what you did to like clear that?
Mm. Well, regardless of health, I mean, obviously having a healthy diet and being and exercising supports a healthy emotional, spiritual state, mental state, but it doesn't guarantee it. And so we all have, this thing up here is sort of our worst enemy. And I think that a lot of times, and before I proceed, I think that something that we're all sort of awakening to is the idea that we are all co-creators in our reality, and that matter it takes on characteristics based on how we observe it. And so I think that most of us, if not all of us, carry around uh, different kinds of blockages. The blockage that we specifically addressed with you in the heart chakra uh, area very often is associated with, not always, but sometimes associated with really moving on, and getting activated into a soul purpose, and really getting to that place where we start to find that balance between sort of the horizontal and the vertical planes of existence, the earth and the spiritual planes, if you will. We have the three chakras, the sort of lower chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, and they often really hold a lot of emotional stuff, our childhood stuff, our insecurities, our anxieties, our fears, our traumas. All that stuff is typically in there, and they tend to get blocked. And then there's sort of like a bottleneck almost at that third chakra that then ends up starving the heart chakra from giving all of the spiritual energy that we need. A lot, and this I think was true for you, is about clearing that lower stuff so that it can flow through that heart chakra, and then not only feed soul purpose, but then also ultimately allow us to channel love. Because at the end of the day, all of this talk about light, that I'm speaking of, really in the human manifestation of that, is about unconditional love, and how we can project love into this world, as well as receive love, because it is essentially, that's really our job and our mission here. And so I think that's really what it's all about. And not only projected outward to others, but to ourselves.
What can someone do like after they work with you to maintain that clear flowing energy? you clear the chakras, but then it has to be maintained. What are some
Yeah,
things you would recommend?
this is a great question. Nature, being outside by some kind of, sort of strong natural force. You can get into the ocean. It's an amazing way to clear your field. Sitting under a tree, laying on the ground. Um, People living in cities, it's difficult because the energy field has been disturbed by human everything. So it's important to find that sort of something that's strong, I mean, just sitting in a little tiny piece of grass might help a little bit, but you get in an ocean or you're underneath a big tree, like it's got real mana, as we say here in Hawaii, for energy. It's got a real strong energy. Uh, so that's one way. Secondly, of course, there's music and sound vibration that can help. A lot of people do, different hertz and stuff like that, which is helpful. I tend to lean towards organically produced sounds, like true, like singing bowl sounds and stuff like that, chimes, native flutes and stuff like that come from that. It's not to say there's anything wrong with computer generated sounds, but again, when we come really looking at the vibration and the finite detail of what that vibration is when it comes from a place, so it's being produced by a person that's aligned with that vibration, and they're putting that through an instrument. I do believe that there's something different than somebody,
Yes.
putting it on a computer.
I want to say something about that real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, yeah.
Sean, I recently found out that some of the songs that I've been like, I go to dance class, and some of the songs that they play that we're learning choreography to are AI created.
Mhm.
And it blew my mind. And then I was listening to them, and then I was listening to other songs like from, 70s and 80s, and like my friends, people that I know created these songs, and it feels different. Like there's a feeling I couldn't believe these songs were AI, but then when I started realizing, oh yeah, they are good, but they didn't really touch my soul. The feeling of music created by people with the right intentions, is different. So,
Different.
yeah, that's interesting. And there's a lot of music that is AI now, and we don't know that it's
We
AI
don't.
created. But yeah, that's a good
It's
point.
it's so true. That's so true. Machines don't have soul.
No, they don't. And yeah, they don't. And it's a feeling that it feels different. So, like, I have to say, I did two sessions with Sean. And when I was done with the sessions, I was very, very calm and relaxed. And it was a feeling that I knew, like, Sean did something because it's a feeling, So, thank you for what you do. And people want to know, how long is a typical session? How long do the sessions usually take?
About 45 minutes, to an hour, typically.
Mm-hmm.
And if I may, I would like to just say one more way of getting that feeling and maintaining that feeling, which I think is a really important one. And that is that each one of us is 100% capable of a direct connection in with this divine source, with this energy field. And just by connecting with it and having exposure with this frequency, we can change our field, because that's essentially what happened in our session. Okay. You got exposed, your field got exposed to this other energy. And you don't need me. You don't even necessarily need a tree or the ocean, although it's really helpful to have other people, especially to just remind us of what that even feels like. Because most of us don't even know what it feels like to have our energy field clear and organized and harmonious. But ultimately, it is really just a thought away in connection. And we have to believe, we really truly have to believe and know we are capable and worthy of connecting with this field, and that we are essentially, there is no separation between us, God's light, and this energy other than what we have created in our minds. And as soon as we start to let go of that and start to believe that we can just directly connect then we can just start attuning ourselves. Really, it is just about exposure to it.
Wow. And
Yeah.
random question. You live in
Mhm.
Hawaii?
I do. Yes.
You kind of remind me a little of David Wolf. Do you know who that is?
Oh, yes, I do know who David Wolf is. Yeah,
But you look a
absolutely.
little younger than
Yeah, I
him.
can see that curly hair and yep.
So you know who that
Mhm.
is. Have you met him?
Absolutely. I have not met him. No, I have not met him. But
Okay.
I was into raw foods and veganism for quite some time, long starting back in the early '90s, and so yeah, I'm very familiar.
So you are David Wolf then. Oh no,
No.
okay, you're not. Okay. No, because it just hit me. I was like, what? He looks familiar and he's from Hawaii. Is this David Wolf's like brother, younger
No
brother or something?
relation.
Okay. So now, so yes, that makes sense what you said. And funny enough, I somebody set up another session for me with someone else, and I saw them a day after your session, and they said they were reading my chakras or my aura, and they said, "Yeah, your chakras are very clear." And I was like,
Mm.
"Yeah, I just saw Sean. That's why." They were like very clear, but there's some stagnant energy here and there. But okay, so I really like what you said about believing that we can, connect to the source and heal ourselves. And I truly believe that in general, we get the life we believe we deserve. We have the body we believe we deserve. We get the health we believe we deserve, and we take actions from our beliefs. So, like, can you give us one way that you changed your beliefs? How did you, because you weren't always like this, how did you start to change the way you thought and the way you believed about yourself and about life and healing?
Mm. Well, I would say the biggest shift came from two things. One, when I realized that there was more to than what we see, and the understanding that there is sort of another plane. There's this field of energy. Our bodies don't end where we see they end. They extend out in a different form. Um, So understanding that first, and that what happens to the energy affects the physical, and then not to be redundant, but then the second thing and the most powerful thing is the basis of my understanding of all of this and the work that I do is narrowed down to the one line that's sort of like the tagline of my practice, which is where there is light, darkness cannot exist. And just like in the physical realm, if you have a dark room and you throw on a light, the darkness disappears and it's replaced by the light. And once we start to understand that and start to understand that the more most of us are constantly putting we're sort of slaves in a way to the darkness and we don't even really realize it. But once you start saying to yourself and dedicating yourself to say, okay, you know what? The answer is always the light, always the light. And that really is, I think, the sort of the miracle. And I think that is salvation. I think that is the message that we're all supposed to hear. And and once we have that, suffering really starts to become minimized and reduced. And I think that that's really the biggest shift that I've seen for myself. And that's sort of the basis of my mission, wanting to just bring to other people and help them, quote unquote, see the light.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, I love it. So now, I'm curious about, and guys, if you have any questions for Sean, put it in the chat, and then I will ask Sean. So let me know. Somebody actually asked, we're very interested in the entity removal. That's very interesting. I was looking on your website at that. That's really
Mhm.
cool. Now, do all family members who live in the house have to be present during the entity removal session?
Easy answers, no, not necessarily, no.
Tell us more about that entity removal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm going to start, if you don't mind, with a very quick story as to
Yes.
how it started with me. I was sort of maybe 7 years into this journey of trying to figure all this stuff out, and uh, did not believe at that point. And then when people talk to me about entities or ghosts and stuff like that, I kind of just dismissed it. And I was in a home working as a painter. Myself and old house, and I was uh, embarrassingly creeped out in this house. I felt almost like a little kid. Like I had to go down to the basement to look for paint, and I like ran up the stairs. I was like, I felt like I was in a horror movie, but I didn't know why. It was just like, this is silly. um, One night I was actually staying there, but I was like, it was a long story, but I was sleeping out in this van that because it was a long commute. And so I'm in there late at night one night, and I'm sitting in the middle of the living room. And I just decided to go into that meditative space. And all of a sudden I felt this darkness above me, almost in the rafters. And it didn't feel good. Scared. But then I just did what the only thing I knew, and I just went into that space of trying to project this light essentially and channel. And I felt and I saw sort of, I guess, in my third eye, saw this light energy just kind of go up and meet the darkness. And when it met the darkness just went, it was like it just released. And it was just like, okay, this is really weird. I was really kind of freaked out, to be honest with you. I went to sleep and was crazy. And I woke up the next morning and I walked into the house. Like, this feels different. Everything just feels different. The next day, I talked to somebody and they asked me where I was working. And I said, oh, at so and so's house. And he stopped in his tracks and he looked at me. He's like, did you see any ghosts while you were up there? Yeah, and so it really blew my mind wide open, and sort of then progressed into a feeling inside of myself that was just like, I think I might, part of my purpose might be to help release this kind of energy. Um, so going back to your question, if we understand everything as energy, ghosts, entities, and whatnot, their energy, stuck energy, that it is often connected to a person that is deceased. It does seem like there might be some people that haven't let go once they pass. Maybe there's something that they so badly need to communicate. And have a lot of people come to me and they think they're being haunted and they're scared and there's something going on in their house. And very often it ends up really just being sort of like a message of some sort from a loved one. It's really just a loved one trying to say, I'm still with you, I love you. It's very often that's it, you know. So, so really to answer your question, it really comes down to bringing the light, to that field of energy, because sometimes if you can imagine almost like something stuck and lost in a dark room and all of a sudden little window opens and there's light, and they're gonna go to it. um, that's essentially what I think, excuse me, my AirPod just fell out. It's essentially what I think the process is, in clearing entities. Once I'm connected with one person, uh, it becomes easy to connect with others that are connected to them by related by family. Typically, I won't work on anybody without permission, but you know if it's a clearing and it's somebody that the intention is just purely to clear somebody and heal without getting into, like, any kind of manipulation of any sort, obviously, then I do receive permission to help clear people. So it can be sort of almost like a group healing in a certain kind of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's amazing. They're calling you a Ghostbuster in the chat. So if anybody has any questions for Sean, we only have a few more moments, so let me know. I want to just say thank you, Darren, for connecting us all to
Yes.
Sean.
Thank you, Darren.
Darren's amazing. Darren's the healer's healer. That's what they call him. And now he just connects. The thing is, guys, is that if you don't have, I just want to say this as a sidebar, which is if you don't have a community or the desire to start your own community, I would highly recommend it. Either joining a community of like-minded people
Mm.
or starting your own, which is what I had to do because I couldn't find a community like me. So I started my private community, and the ripple effect of that, of just having and being on YouTube and meeting, getting connected to the people, attracting the people that you're supposed to meet. It's only going to happen if you do something. You got to put yourself out there. You have to start something. So either you join a community or you start your own. But that's the only way I was connected to Sean, through Darren, who I met on YouTube, so it's just like amazing. I don't know where I would be, because when you're in pain, you can't do anything. I'm in the process of moving. I can't pack and declutter and sell my things if I'm in pain. I can't do anything. I could barely just function. So I just wanted to say thank you again to you and Darren. And I just want to remind everyone that you need to have your team of healers. Okay, so I'm assuming you're also probably anti-establishment,
To some
clearly.
degree.
Like, you're not like a
Yeah.
regular member of society.
No.
You're not falling for the scams and the with the stuff that they are doing. So now, uh, do you have like a healers that you go to? Do you have a resources that you use? Do you use like Reiki, or do you have like a team of healers or someone that you go to for help for you?
Well, not as much as I probably should.
Right.
A lot of people always ask me, like, my gosh, like this must exhaust you doing this work. And I
Yeah.
always tell people it is the exact opposite. I get healed every time I go into session with somebody.
No
Again,
way.
it goes to that concept of exposure, so this light is sort of channeling through my existence in some way, shape, or form. So, each time I'm done with a session, I'm like, I feel healed to some degree. And I often, going think that the truth is there's really just one consciousness, and there's many forms that it takes. And so I often see the people that I'm working with as a reflection of my own self, and try to understand that what healing they're bringing to me, in each
Yes.
person. So yes, so that's where I get my main support, again, from that source, and through this flowing through me. I do have a couple people that get massages from here to help. And other than that, self-care is not necessarily my best.
The healers tend to usually, not do what they tell people to do, or like they don't like focus or
Yeah.
like prioritize their own healing. But I have to say, I do totally understand what you're saying about how you get healed also, because I help people break their food addiction, and I help people go raw. And that has helped me to
Of
break my
course.
food addiction and to
Yeah.
help me easily stay raw. Like when I'm helping somebody eat raw, I'm helping myself. Like,
Mhm.
making these
Yeah.
videos and being on YouTube and working with people on Zoom, I'm healing. I'm staying motivated and inspired. It's so important that we understand that when we help others, we're helping ourselves, because we're, like you said, we're all connected, we're all one. So that's really
Absolutely.
good too. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, let me ask you these questions and then I will let you go, Sean. Here we go. So, Roland, thank you for being here, Roland. He's in my private community. So, guys, if you want, start your own community or join one. You can join my community. The link is in the bio, Misfit Mondays. It's for the misfits of the world because it's not easy to be a weirdo and, just different. It's not easy to be
It's
different.
true.
Um, okay, here we go. How to know if we'd need to get rid of an entity? How would we know if we needed to get, because I wouldn't know that a pain was coming from that. I don't know if there was a answered earlier. I was driving and came late. Okay. How would we know if we had an entity either in our body, in our house? How would we know if we had stuck energy? What are some symptoms of that?
Mm. Well, great question. First of all, I think it's safe to assume that pretty much all of us have stuck energy in our bodies and in our houses. So whether it's an entity per se or not an entity, our understanding and our sort of focus on the energetic realm is so minor and mostly non-existent with most people. So I would say that I would start by just saying focusing on clearing energy, focus on bringing in things that will help bring in a cleaner energy. And that is really essentially what is going to tell you what you did or didn't have before. If that makes sense. Think that like some people have physical ailments of sorts and they go through the whole medical field and all the tests and nothing comes up. Not to say that, the medical testing system is perfect because it can certainly miss things and it doesn't know how to diagnose certain things and so forth. But I think, like you said, like your experience, Jeanette, it's just like I think that's a great time to start seeking out other things when you've just explored the basics and it's unexplainable. And then lastly, really just listen to your intuition because most of us know, if we really just pay attention, we kind of know if something's just not right or doesn't feel good. And I think that
Yeah,
that's something that we don't generally trust enough. And we're always looking for information online and outside of ourselves. But
that's
so
a
much in
good
here.
suggestion. Yeah, that's a good one because actually I remember now that you said that, before I had this really bad pain, I wasn't feeling like myself. I don't know. I felt weird. I didn't feel like myself, but I was ignoring it
Mhm.
because, we have to just life, we have to work. And so I just pushing it down. Then I got this pain. And I have to say, guys, I'm super healthy. I consider myself one of the healthiest people on the planet. And every few years, I I get some type of pain and it's not physical because I don't play with my health. I get checked. I go to the mainstream people. I get the x-rays and they never can find anything. Now, before I ate healthy, yeah, if when I was in pain, when I was sick, I would go to the doctor. Yeah, I had bronchitis or I had just all type IBS, leaky gut, all these things, right? So if you're eating healthy, you're taking care of yourself, you still have to work on your energetic body, your emotional body. It's not enough. It's not enough to just be healthy and eat healthy, but what about your emotions and like Sean said, stuck energy and things that are not physical. Like it was not a physical issue clearly, which is mind-blowing to me because it was physically painful. This is just mind-blowing what you do, and I just want to say thank you again. I We have another question, but I just cannot believe that I'm not in pain anymore, and I'm so grateful.
I'm grateful
Thank you.
too.
So
Thank
grateful.
you.
You have no idea because this was really scary. I was scared to eat a little, I was scared to eat some days because I was like, What is this pain?" And it was like, I don't know, like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do and no doctor can help me. So, it got worse when I ate too. All right, here
Mm.
we go. So, Stephanie Sumo, thanks for being here. She asked, does that somehow mean that there are no evil? Okay. She loves how you explained your work in opening a way to the light. Does that somehow mean that there are no evil entities just stuck? Or do some want to create chaos and not go to the light? Oh, that's a good question.
Good question. Okay. Okay, I need to formulate. So I can explain the best that I understand based on my observation and experience only. I think that all suffering essentially comes from separation from the light, our perception that we're separate. And there's a continuum. Some people are very separate from that light and suffering deeply on this earth inside, and some are not. And we tend to personify everything. And by that, I mean, give anything that we don't understand human qualities, because that's our whole existence. For example, I'm assuming all of us grew up with the idea that God is a gray bearded man, sitting up in the sky, and that's, in a way, it's kind of silly, right? Because that's who we are.
Like Santa, I
Yeah.
guess.
And not to digress too much, but
Yeah.
the Bible says God made man in his image. I would flip that and say that we have created an image of God in our own image, you know because that's all we understand. And so we do the same thing with entities, and energy. And I think that in order for us to understand it, it's easy to feel like we are being, that there is an evil quality to certain energy. There's no doubt about it. And but I would say, instead of judging it as evil, I think the place of true healing comes from understanding it, that energy is just so far removed from the light that it's just awful, and it feels really, really bad. Um, and then us as humans might get caught up in that energy and bring that into our own selves. I get a lot of people get in touch with me that where it's borderline mental illness. People might consider some of the things that they think the entities are doing, or they perceive entities to be doing. No matter what, no matter what we choose to call it, see it as, once we start to understand that the light is the only thing that actually matters, that's where the liberation from any of that comes from. So we have to just, by acknowledging sort of an evil entity, we are creating it more. We're giving it energy. We're bringing it more into reality. And so what we want to do, and I do have a couple of audio clips on my YouTube channel. I don't have much on there, but I do have two on there that specifically relate to this topic of how to liberate from entity attachments by using, our mind and our consciousness. And so, sorry, it's a
What is
long-winded
your
answer.
what is your YouTube channel?
It's at the Hope Light.
Oh, okay, at the Hope Light. All right, I'll
Yeah,
put that below.
yeah.
Cool.
Same with Instagram and all that. But I have to say, it's not my. I'm new to that field, so I don't have a whole lot on there. But there is some information, and I hope to increase it.
Okay, I'll put it below.
Great.
Okay. Okay, we have another question real quick, please. Sorry.
No, don't
I'm gonna
apologize.
let you
I'm here. I
go.
got nothing to do.
No, because I know we're a little over time. Now, question is Darren. Okay, we have to answer Darren's question,
Of
obviously.
course.
Nothing is possible without Darren, so we better answer his question. So he wants to know, have you ever helped somebody like the way you helped me with dealing with physical pain in their body and it was gone in a session or two? Have you ever experienced that before?
Yes, I have. Not as much as the other stuff. I don't tend to have a lot of people come to me with physical stuff. Um, and I will say that, and this is not only true with physical stuff, it's true with various different issues. I think that one session sometimes is not enough. Sometimes one session is really just sort of like the opening, and then we might need, actually find that 3 or 4 sessions often within a certain amount of time can be really, really powerful. So to answer your question, yes, on the physical, have I experienced some thing where somebody, can't walk and can walk through because after one session. No, nothing crazy like that. But definitely some minor things, more minor. Sorry, not to invalidate your pain, but more minor type stuff that you were
Yes.
experiencing. Yes.
Yes, but you know what? I know it sounds crazy to people talking about, oh, somebody in a wheelchair and then they'd be able to walk. But you know what? Joe Dispenza has experienced that, and my chiropractor, he has helped people, maybe not
Absolutely.
one session, but like, yeah, there's a lot more going on than we know. And
No doubt.
I'm not very woo-woo, to be honest. But I mean, this is a reality. The reality is that I had a pain. No, the doctors, they're saying there's nothing wrong. And so I had to seek alternative methods of healing. And yeah, I also think, it's hard because sometimes people say, like different healers, they'll say, "Oh no, you have to do a few sessions." And we think, "Oh, that's because they want to make money." But I have to tell you, every single modality of healing I've experienced, it takes a few sessions, to be honest, usually. Like, if I go get a colonic, if somebody has never had a colonic before, you really should book a few sessions. The first session is just like you said, Sean, it's just the introduction, acupuncture, different things. It takes a few, your body is not used to something. So it's going to take a few sessions for sure. And I've had 2 sessions with Sean and I will have more as well. Because also, that's another thing. It's like we only do these kind of healings when there's something wrong. Now, see, that is our mistake because
Absolutely.
yeah, can you talk about what could you do? How would it benefit for somebody to see you when there's nothing wrong?
Sure. And just to kind of elaborate on what you said, I think that sometimes we a lifetime accumulation of issues and things, and then we go to somebody and expect, in 45 minutes that a lifetime of things are going to just disappear. And I will have to say that I have experience and I've experienced with some people some pretty profound breakthroughs where one session was all that was needed, essentially. And sometimes it's then just about, well, like, are we going to, are we just going to stop here? Or do you want to keep expanding, in that situation? Um, and so your question was, why would somebody come? They don't have, or if they're not like in a situation.
Yeah,
Um,
what could you help someone with if they don't have anything wrong?
yeah, I think that there is nobody on this earth that can't benefit from having their energetic field and cleared and harmonized. We are energetic beings, and the whole universe is a field of energy. And I think that ultimately, I think that we all want to be the best. I should say this: anybody that wants to be the best version of themselves can benefit in their field and harmonized and releasing energy that they no longer need. And it's not something that requires trauma or major pain or anything like that to benefit from at all. Not a bit.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And yeah, Darren put it in the chat pretty good too, like talking about the car in the body shop, and you don't just take your car in when it's like on the side of the road and doesn't work. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like you
maintenance.
don't
Yeah.
wait. Okay, you're gonna send me the link to your YouTube because
Sure.
I'm trying to find it, but I don't see it yet.
Okay, I will do that.
But I'm gonna leave that below. Oh, actually, no, I did find it. Okay, the Hope Light, 2 words, the Hope Light. Okay, I'm gonna leave that below. So I got it here. I'll put that in the chat right now.
I believe
And
that Instagram is something very similar.
yes, okay, very nice. All right, I'm gonna put that all in the description, guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, thank you so much. Really
you're amazing.
appreciate.
Is there anything that you want to say that you didn't say, or anything you want to share with my fruity cuties out there?
No, I just really appreciate the opportunity to share my story. I really appreciate the venue and all of you that are listening. Yeah, if there's any way that I can help, uh, please just feel free to reach out.
Yes, thank you so much for what you do. We'll definitely be in touch. And guys, check out the links below. And I hope that you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for watching. All right. Bye, Sean.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.